As for a motive, some sources close to this case tell me they do have one working theory right now, and that involves illegal gambling.
Father had a language barrier on the line, 1846 Western, need you to stage right now.
Let's start by setting the stage. Picture this: you move to a quiet suburban neighborhood with your family, hoping for peace, a good cup of coffee, and maybe the occasional nosy neighbor. But the Chen family, a hard-working Chinese-American family, got more than they bargained for. They were living the American dream in Guilderland, New York, where everything looked perfect on the outside until it wasn't. Zheng and Chen were just your everyday couple. He ran a dry cleaning business. She worked in a local restaurant, and they had two adorable children. Seems like the kind of family that bakes cookies on weekends, right? But behind those cookie-cutter suburban vibes was a story that would shake the community to its core. Who would have thought these picture-perfect neighbors would become the subject of one of the most puzzling unsolved murders of the decade? The night the peace was shattered. All right, hold on to your hats, because we're diving straight into the heart-stopping part of the story. October 8th, 2014, the Chen family was found dead, and suddenly, everything about the quiet suburban life they led turned upside down. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, how could a family just disappear like that? Well, plot twist, they didn't disappear. Their bodies were found in a chilling scene, and it wasn't just some tragic accident. This was a full-blown crime scene, and it left investigators scratching their heads faster than a cat caught in a vacuum. The police were armed with forensic evidence, DNA, fingerprints, and a whole bunch of technical mumbo-jumbo. But despite all that, the case turned into a cold case faster than a scoop of ice cream melts in the summer sun. They had all the clues. They had the ingredients. They even had the recipe for solving it. But somehow, the mystery was still sitting there, unsolved, as if someone had baked a cake, checked all the boxes, and then ended up with a brick instead of sponge cake. You know that feeling when you try to cook something and the recipe is perfect, but the end result tastes like cardboard? Well, that was the investigation perfect ingredients. But no results. The investigation. Now, this is where the investigation really gets juicy, but also extremely frustrating. Imagine this. You got this massive jigsaw puzzle, but you're missing half the pieces. And to make matters worse, the pieces you are missing are the key pieces that make the puzzle look like it's supposed to. That's basically what investigators were dealing with when they tackled this case. Despite having all the forensic tools of fancy DNA, the high-tech analysis, and the crime scene evidence, the investigation was left in pieces, literally. At first, the theory was a simple one: robbery gone wrong. What else could explain a family for being murdered in their own home? It was like the plot of a movie, a home invasion gone sideways. But then, surprise, there was no forced entry. No broken windows, no signs of a struggle, and certainly no missing valuables. Nothing was taken. It was like someone had shown up, made themselves a sandwich, and just walked out of the house. Like an incredibly rude dinner guest who leaves a mess and doesn't even have the decency to take the leftover cake. No sign of forced entry, no robbery, and no suspects. It's like someone went full ghost mode, in, out, and leaving only chaos and confusion behind. If you ever try to put together a murder mystery dinner, you'll know how that feels. Like you're the only one left sitting at the table, while everyone else is just staring at the last course, wondering if it's really part of the plot. The police had all the evidence they could dream of, but no suspect. It's like you have a full set of clues, but you're still stuck with an empty board. No one to point the finger at. Kind of like trying to finish a mystery novel and realizing the last chapter went missing. The investigation turned into one big giant WTF moment, and we're left all wondering who done it. What do you think happened? As you can imagine, when you have a case that's unsolved, everyone becomes an armchair detective. Theories started flying around the town like pizza toppings at an all-you-can-eat buffet. You know, that one friend who always thinks they can figure out who done it before the cops do? Well, in Guilderland, the entire town became that friend. Some were saying, it's got to be organized crime. Who else could pull off something this cold and calculated? Others were convinced the Chen family had gotten mixed up in something they had no clue about. A mess they didn't even see coming. And then, of course, there were the whispers about family secrets. What if there was something darker at play? Maybe a hidden debt? A shady deal? or a family member who just snapped. Who knows? So, imagine the scene. The whole town turns into Sherlock Holmes, and everyone's got their theory on what went down. It's like a game of telephone, but instead of one word being misheard, it's the entire investigation being reinterpreted 100 different ways. Some theories are more outlandish than others, of course. But isn't that the fun of a good mystery? Throw in some wild conspiracy theories, mix in a couple of whodunits, and you've got yourself a recipe for one big, juicy debate. Theories are like pizza toppings. Everyone's got their favorite, but no one can agree on the right combo. And just like trying to find the last slice of pizza in the box, everyone's still looking for the piece that makes the whole story fit. But despite all the wild theories, one thing for sure, no one really knows what happened to the Chen family. It's like trying to figure out the final scene of a movie without seeing the last frame. Totally unsatisfying. The real victims, and they're not letting it go. All right, time to get real for a moment. This wasn't just a headline on the evening news. It was a soul-crushing tragedy that shook the very foundation of the Guilderland community. The Chen family was known by many, and they weren't just a sad news story. They were a real family, with friends, neighbors, and lives that were taken too soon. The shockwaves of the crime rippled through the local Chinese-American community, and the loss was felt deeply by all who knew them. People who knew the Chen still can't make sense of it. How could something like this happen to such a well-liked family? It's a mystery that has haunted the community for years. And despite the passage of time, the weight of the case still lingers. Some locals say it feels like the case never really left the town. And you can't blame them. Imagine living with a mystery this big, never getting the answers, never finding closure. It's like having an unfinished puzzle in the middle of your living room, with pieces that never seem to fit. This isn't just about solving a crime. It's about restoring peace to a community that has been shaken to its core. It's a reminder that when families like the Chens are affected, it isn't just a family that suffers, the entire community feels the loss. And for the people of Guilderland, the memory of the Chen family's murder is one that will never really fade. The call for justice. Now, here's where you come in. While this case may feel like it's gathering dust on some cold case shelf, justice doesn't just sit around waiting for someone to figure it out. It needs people like you to keep asking questions, to keep the search alive. And let's face it, you've probably watched enough crime shows to know that sometimes the smallest clue can make all the difference. You could be the one who cracks the case wide open, so don't just sit there thinking, well, that's the police's problem. This is a community problem, and you could have the key to solving it. If you ever watched a crime show and thought, I could totally solve that, now's your chance. Let's channel your inner Sherlock Holmes, but hopefully without the weird accent and the pipe. The cold case is still open, and there's a chance for closure. We can't just let the story end without justice. The Chen Family Massacre remains one of the most unsettling unsolved cases, with forensic evidence but no answers. Theories abound, frustrations grow, and the community continues to seek closure. But the case is still open, and you might be the one to crack it. If you know anything, no matter how small, step forward. Your tip could be the key. And who knows, you could be the next Sherlock Holmes, just skip the awkward accent. And that's the chilling tale of the Chen Family Massacre, still unsolved, still haunting. But the mystery isn't over, and you could be the key to solving it. If you enjoyed diving into this twisted true crime story with me, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of unsolved mysteries.